Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome indeed, yes, to another edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast as we're broadcasting live here from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Also want to give a shout out to Walk On Sports Bistreaux right there in Vieira for being a great podcast partner of the show, and Chumley's Depot in downtown Melbourne where friends meet. And don't forget, they got karaoke coming up tonight at Chumley's Depot. And most of the times on this show, I will say what day it is. But now that it's 900 degrees here on the coast every day, I don't know what day it is. Maybe this guy knows. He is my great friend. He's joined me all NBA playoffs long. Longtime basketball coach, the great Billy Mims. How you doing today, buddy?
It's Taco Tuesday.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. I did not know. All right. I hope you and your family had a very nice Father's Day. I just want you to know that.
Thank you, Mark, and you as well. I got a chance to go up to South Carolina and visit my mom and dad and spend Father's Day with my dad and took them out to lunch to a wonderful Southern barbecue buffet restaurant in their little town called the Music Man. And we had a blast there. It was packed, as you can imagine. But it was almost like a family reunion because, every time you go in there, there's so many local people that eat in their lunch on a Sunday. It's like people like, hey, Billy Mims, I haven't seen you since high school. So it's a good experience. And it's a great time to be able to share Father's Day with my dad. And, we're blessed right now. My mom and dad are both still alive. They're still living at home and looking after each other. And it's a blessing to be able to spend time with them whenever I can. So everybody out there watching, remember your fathers, your mothers, and never take it for granted. Spend time with them when you can, because sooner or later, we're all going to be gone. So when you have the chance, take advantage. And thank you, Mark. And I know you had some time with your family as well. So
yeah. All right. Here's what happened. I swear this is a true story. I would never lie to you. So when I went to see my family on Sunday, I was like, well, I better get my dad something. So I usually get him. You got to get the card. I know, even though people just look at the card for 5 seconds, you still got to get the card. So I get the card. I always get him a book. Usually I try to get him one of these Alex Cross books lately, or, James Patterson. He likes one of those types of books. So I got him one of those. I think a John Grisham one this time.
Okay.
So then I said, you know what? He loved going to the Rolling Stones last year with my mother. I'm going to get him a Rolling Stone shirt. So here's what happened. And we have much basketball to talk about. I walked through the front door. I swear he's wearing the shirt that I bought him. I am not kidding around. He already bought this shirt. So no, I know. So you're thinking like, oh, you mean he put on the shirt you bought him? No, he had the shirt on that I bought. So now he's got two of them. Same one. So I had to go back to the store and return it and explain what happened. They didn't believe me, but I got my money back. So so you know what it is? I owe him a shirt. I had to return it. I got to buy him a shirt.
Imagine the odds of that happening, though.
I know.
I mean, one, astronomical odds that he actually bought the shirt you bought him, but even more astronomical odds that he's wearing it the day that you're bringing him the new shirt.
It was bizarre. This is another example I talk about where my dad is me 30 years in the future. This is what I'm like. When I look at my dad, that's what my future will be. It'll be awesome. It'll be great. But it's like, it's the same mind is working. All right. It just makes me laugh. That is a true story. I can't make that up. All right. This is what I want you to know is we're going to talk basketball. I think this NBA Finals, the scheduling is so insane where I think it started on June 6th. Today is the 17th. Game 6 is Thursday night, 48 hours from now. And a potential game 7, which I know you want, is Sunday night. Sunday. Here is why it's so crazy. about 20 minutes ago, the Indiana Pacers front office made a trade for the NBA draft where they traded the rights to their 25th, 26th pick to the Pelicans to get the Pelicans' #1 pick next year. So even the Pacers, who are in the finals, are ready for this to end. What? Dude, this is going on for too long. We need to end this. I'm sorry. I love basketball, but we have to end this after a while.
Mark, they're just going to go straight from the finals to the draft.
Yes.
That's it. We finish the finals. We're going to have the draft the next day.
Yes, that's exactly. Maybe we'll have the draft, then Game 7 will happen. Maybe that's what it'll be.
Hey, I got a great idea. Mm-hmm. Let's have the draft at Game 7.
Oh, you know what? If you ask ESPN, they would love it. Love it. Okay. They're already breaking down the Dallas Cowboys, what moves they're going to make. They could care less of the finals. All right. Let's get to the game last night. Thunder get it done. It was a game till about 8 minutes ago, I'd say, in the fourth quarter. Tight game, and the Thunder poured it on late. Williams had 40 points. SGA averaging Michael Jordan level 30 points a game in the finals. Those two guys were too much. How did the Thunder get it done last night in Game 5?
Well, obviously, there's I think 3, maybe 4 real big keys, right? Number one, the dynamic duo were unbelievable, right? Going into the NBA Finals, everybody, and you and I included, have been talking all the way down the end of the season. SGA. SGA is going to be the MVP, SGA. Those 6 letters, I think I go to bed at night thinking MVP, SGA. It's like no names anymore, just letters.
No, you're BM. That's your. I'm Eminem. You're BM. For
Eminem BM. Okay.
That's what we are.
It sounds like a rap group.
It does.
But anyway, I think what you saw last night was the total evolvement that the Oklahoma City Thunder are no longer just about SGA. Yeah. J-Dub last night was the man. He was the man of the hour last night. And if J-Dub doesn't have that kind of game, I think the Pacers win. I really do. So number one factor was J-Dub. And here's the interesting thing. In all games so far in the playoffs, 5 games, J-Dub has scored more points and been a bigger factor every single game. Game 1, he had 17. Mediocre performance, right? They lost game 1. Game 2, he had 19. Only 1 bucket or 2 free throws better. Game 3, J-Dub scored 26. Game 4, 27 when they really needed a big win. And then coming back home to go ahead in the series for the first time. This is the first time the Indiana Pacers have trailed in this series.
That's crazy.
5 games into the series, finally, the overall favorite has taken the lead in the series, but it took them 5 games to do it, and it took a 40-point performance from the new young star, J-Dub, Jalen Williams. So I thought last night, in so many ways, he was so much better than SGA last night. And SGA is the league MVP. But you had a second player on that team outshining the league MVP. That's why it was an incredible performance. Now, I throw in 2 other factors in there.
All right.
Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton's leg situation was a problem, okay? He went down. He was grimacing. He was in pain. He left the court. He went back to the locker room, had somebody look at it. They wrapped him up. He came back out, and he played some more, okay? He was 0 for 6 from the field, 0 field goals. And he's been Mr. Clutch for them in the fourth quarter. He's been the Mr. Clutch, in my opinion, in the play. I know there was a lot of talk about the New York Knicks and a Mr. Clutch up in New York City. But I've just said, to me, it's Hallie time in the fourth quarter. And Tyrese Halliburton has been the clutch guy for the Pacers and Mr. Clutch in the postseason in these playoffs. And he was non-existent last night. So you take one of your biggest cogs, your team leader, your go-to guy in the fourth quarter, he's not there. All he had last night was 4 points. He made 4 free throws. It was just a night where he was a ghost, okay? Now, that's okay. You understand that he got hurt. And here's the last point I'll make and why I think that Oklahoma City won the game, okay? The comeback kids did it again. The Pacers have been the comeback kids this entire postseason, and they did it again. On the road, biggest game of the year for Oklahoma City. If the Pacers had won last night, gone up 3-2, going back to Indiana, that was trouble, okay? But they staved it off even after the comeback kids came from 18 points down to make it a 2-point game in the fourth quarter, right? Right? Mm-hmm. What was the difference in the comeback and then the put away after the comeback? They made the comeback with a healthy point guard on the floor. They took Tyrese Halliburton out. They put in TJ McConnell, who has been a superstar off the bench for the Pacers, and he has been the energy that they might have been lacking when they were falling behind 18, 20, 23 points throughout this series. But whenever TJ McConnell came in the game, he was the spark and the energy to ignite the comeback kids. He did it again last night, Mark, and it was his best effort yet. He had 16, 18 points. Like, he set a record a career record for himself, most points he'd ever scored in a quarter of an NBA game. And then what happens? Rick Carlisle decides, okay, we're back in it now. Thanks, TJ. Got us back. Tyrese, how's that leg feel? And he puts Tyrese Halliburton back in the game. I'm sorry. I coach with the gut instinct. And every game, every situation is different. The feel I had sitting in my armchair watching that game last night was watching TJ McConnell bring the comeback kids back to 2 points and fear in the fans' faces there in Oklahoma City. And the Oklahoma City bench starting to say, uh-oh, it's happening again. Here it goes again. There's a little question in their mind. And then all of a sudden, a timeout takes place, and the guy that led the comeback kids to that great comeback and made it a game goes to the bench, and an injured player who hadn't showed up all night goes back in at the most critical time of the game. No change. Nothing happened there good after Halliburton came back in.
Okay. We're here with Billy Mims. I'm going to ask you this question then as the follow-up. As you got 40 years of experience coaching games at different levels. Would you have put Halliburton in, seen how he did for a couple plays, and then, all right, timeout, we're going back to McConnell? Would you have gone 90 seconds, 2 minutes, and then gone back to that? What would you have done?
The answer I'm going to give you is no, okay? You know when I'd have brought Halliburton back in? When I had to bring him back in, okay?
Oh, so if it's still hot, look, if we're hot, we're running, even if McConnell's a little gassed, just keep going as long as you can with this.
Listen, you're in the fourth quarter. You're in the late stages of the game. Everybody's got gas to get through that. These guys are going to have, months of rest coming up in front of them. They got plenty of time. They'll all be, as Charles Barkley said, pretty soon gone fishing. All right? They got plenty of time left, right, to rest and recuperate. But they're running out of time to win an NBA championship. Therefore, last night, everything was clicking. I'll tell you another guy that I think every time he seems to get himself going and make a big play, then he goes back to the bench, and that's Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell off the bench have been huge for the Indiana Pacers. And then it just seems like they do their job, they get the team going, they make the comeback, and then they're sitting down again. And so my answer would be, no, I'm not bringing Halliburton back because of 2 reasons. One, right now we don't need him. I come from South Carolina. We said that a moment ago. Where I'm from, there's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right then, at that point, when they cut that 18-point deficit to 2, and TJ McConnell was having the game of his life you ride with that. You climb on his back and you ride with that because you're in the ball game. Taking him out took him out of the ball game, and one more comeback from a deep deficit on that road. Once the Thunder had recovered and said, I think right after the 2-point deficit, I think the Thunder went on a 7-0 run. And all of a sudden it was 2, then it was 9, then it was 12. And then, might have gone back to 10, but then it went to 13. And it just kept going downhill for them, Mark. And by the time they got TJ back in the game, and, if you looked at the video of it, right, if you're watching the television of the game, every time they kind of went by and you saw him on the bench, he was looking a little like, why am I not back in? He was sitting in the first player's seat on the bench, right there next to the female assistant coach for the Pacers, right, who is absolutely brilliant. She's done a fantastic job, probably will be an NBA head coach very soon. He's sitting right next to her, and he's like chomping at the bits to get back in the game. And all of a sudden, for whatever reason, Rick Carlisle has forgotten him, and he's gone back. And I get it. He's had faith in Tyrese all season, right? Healthy or injured, he's had faith in him. But last night, it was 2 reasons to leave him on the bench. 1, because TJ was on a roll, and 2, you still got more games to play. You're going to need Halliburton. You put him back out there, maybe you make the injury worse, and he's done for the playoffs. Maybe you don't get anything from him the rest of the way. So at that point, you were down 18. You got a starter who's hurt, who can barely walk. And I know Halliburton said in the postgame, if I can walk, I can play. No, you can't. No, you can't. And you say, I just want to be out there helping my team. I want to do something. Maybe I'm not scoring. I want to do something. Okay, he had some rebounds. He had some assists. But they needed offense. They needed scoring. TJ was bringing them steals, assists, scoring. He was giving them more. And not to say he's a better player. No, he's not. But in that one moment, the moment belonged to TJ McConnell. Rick Carlisle, the veteran coach that he is, should have recognized that.
We're here with Billy Mims recapping last night, Game 5. Oklahoma City gets it done, and we were joking at the top. Yes, Game 6 is Thursday, 2 nights from now. If you are the Pacers, this is what's interesting. On paper, you would say Thunder are a better team. That'd be the cliche thing to say. But through 5 games, it's pretty even because you look at, seriously, you look at Pacers went up, 2-1 in this series. Game 4's at home. They're right there, and they blew it late in the fourth quarter. And last night, what you're saying through your basketball coaching eyes, Pacers were right there as well. So it's not like, this is not like Kobe and Shaq versus those Nets teams, like one of those finals. No, they're right there. That's why. All right, I put this question up this morning for different people. I want it for you. I originally said Thunder in 6. I would not be shocked if we go 7. I think it's a toss-up Game 6. I think myself, I think you, I think the whole country thinks the Pacers can still win that Game 6 facing a Game 7. What do you think? Is your gut thinking, I think the Pacers have a chance in this game Thursday?
I give them a chance in 2 areas, 2 possibilities, okay? And number 1 is the point guard situation. Number 1, okay? In that point guard situation, is Tyrese Halliburton going to be healthy enough to give you something? And I'm not talking about just a few rebounds and a few assists. Can he give you some offensive firepower? Okay? If you're playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, you got to score points to win. Yeah. You got to produce. You need 5, 6, 7 guys in double figures. You can't have one of your starters and main cog score 4 points.
Hey, I'll just say Pascal Siakam's the key then. He was the conference final guy. Williams is outplaying him now. Siakam's he's gonna have to drop 30 points in this Game 6.
Siakam is going to play well. I have no doubt. I've got the healthy guys are going to play well. Is Tyrese Halliburton going to be healthy? Can he give him something? Okay, that's number 1. And part A of number one, okay? Okay, that's part A. They're going to put him out there. I guarantee it. He's doing every treatment possible. It's his chance at glory. It's the last home game. It could tie at 3-3. They're 2 wins. They're still just 2 wins away from an NBA championship. And one of those games is at home. They should win at home. Then they put themselves in a position to steal game 7 on the road. That's what Halliburton's got to be thinking, okay? I got to play this game. I got to put us in a position to tie it up at home and steal game 7. So I got to play. So part 1 is he's going to play. Part 2 is Rick Carlisle now going to stick with an injured Tyrese Halliburton throughout the game if he doesn't give you more than he gave us last night? That's part 2. Okay?
That's a great point. Great point.
And then can TJ McConnell, can TJ McConnell, okay, I'm getting my teams confused.
I have a buddy, TJ McMahon, okay? It's okay.
Those Maxis, you know, I'm thinking about going to McDonald's for lunch, okay? TJ McConnell, okay? Can TJ McConnell come off the bench, give them everything he gave them last night and then some? Can he carry the load? Because remember, he's been carrying the load as a sub, right? But if Tyrese isn't giving you double figures, he's got to do more than just be a good sub. He's got to give you what he's been given as a sub and give you some of what Tyrese isn't given as a starter, okay? A lot of pressure on TJ McConnell, right? So that's all factor 1. Then I'm going to go to factor 2, okay? So the point guard situation, paramount for the Pacers' success in game 6 at home. Second part that they got to figure out when they, you know, again, they should have won. We know this. They should have won game 4, right? In game 4 in Indiana, OKC was 3 for 16 from 3. So 1, the Pacers ran them off the line. And 1, they not only did they run them off the line, they made making those threes difficult, right? Last night, they at home, OKC was 14 for 32. 14 of 32. Big reason they won the game last night, 3-point shooting. They were knocking down the threes, okay? If the defense of the Pacers can make it a game where the Thunder has to score in the paint, they can't light up the 3. So, man, that's a little harder. You're scoring all 2s instead of a boatload of 3s. Because remember, the Pacers do shoot the 3 really well in Indianapolis. So I got a strong feeling Pacers are going to shoot it well. Can their defense slow down the perimeter firepower of the OKC Thunder? Those 2 areas. If the Thunder don't shoot the 3 well, and if the Pacers can solve the point guard situation with Halliburton's injury, how healthy is he? How much can TJ McConnell give us? If those 2 things go to the favor of the Pacers, we'll have a game 7.
Yeah, I feel like if you're the Pacers, it's like, look, it sounds like a Disney movie, what I'm going to say. We shouldn't be here anyway, right? We're on this like magical March Madness run to the NBA Finals. We're here. We got this far. If you're all the guys on this team, look, egos aside, we got to put this together. We got to win this game 6. I know, like you always say, one game at a time. It's cliche. Put your ego at the door. We got to play as a team. Now, if I'm the Thunder, this is what I'm doing. If I am Dort, SGA, if I'm Alex Caruso, I am going to play super physical on Halliburton. Beat him up early. Make him a non-factor like they did in game 5. He had 0 points at halftime. That's why if you're Rick Carlisle, see, I'm thinking like you, where it's like, if I'm Rick Carlisle, if Halliburton's giving me Jack, you know what? This is our best chance. I'm sorry to say this. The NBA's never going to allow this finals matchup ever again. Okay. This is it. I think it's going to be that first quarter is going to be fascinating to watch how both teams come out.
Well, and I agree with you completely on that statement you just made. Completely, right? Not about the NBA rigging the future finals, but about the physicality of the Thunder, right? Uh-huh. But isn't that their mantra anyway?
Yes.
Weren't they coming into this finals? Everybody singing their praises, saying they're the best defense in the NBA, the best defensive team in the NBA. Every other coach, every star player has been saying that about this year's OKC Thunder and the job Mark Daigneault has done building the NBA's top defensive unit, okay? Well, it's been done a lot on physicality. I'm going to tell you something when I watch their games. I love watching them play, okay? I love how they run the floor. I love how they attack the basket. Not just Shea. I mean, Doris Burke says SGA is the free throw merchant, and she got in a little trouble with OKC fans over that. Didn't like that comment.
I wouldn't either. I would not either.
But aside from SGA, they all attack the basket well. Look at J-Dub when he attacked the rim. Every time last night J-Dub drove to the bucket, he scored. Every single time, Mark. You couldn't stop. That's why he had a 40-point night. And some of those drives resulted in 3-point plays. Why did SGA have a 31-point night? Driving to the basket. And he was at the free throw line double-digit times last night. He shot, 12 free throws, 30, something like that. He had double-digit free throws last night, okay? So when you're driving, attacking the rim, it's great basketball to watch, okay? Obviously, a team out west with a guy named Steph Curry and a guy used to be Klay Thompson, the Splash Brothers, they made shooting the three cool. So now lots of teams like to shoot the three, the Pacers being one of those teams. But there's an old saying, you can live by the J and you can die by the J. The Thunder live by their defense and they live by attacking the basket. Now, last night, their offense game, they had 14 threes last night, which is a great performance for the Thunder, okay? But I go back to my one big point here. Defensively, they're the most physical defense in the league. And here's what I was going to say in watching them every night that I've watched them. They get away with things that other teams don't get to do. You can watch it in the course of a game. And what is a foul on Pascal Siakam isn't a foul on Jalen Williams. You know, making the same defensive play on the ball. When they come after the ball at half court, they put a lot of body bumping, physical pressure on the ball handler. They stick out knees, you know. They get that extended knee out there, which you have to go a long ways to get around, or you get tripped. And sometimes those trips don't get called. So the physicality of them is their strength, but it's also now their mantra. And what happens over time, Mark, when you're doing something and it's successful, you know what happens?
What?
Referees look at it and say, that's not a foul. That's just the way they play.
Okay, I have a follow-up to this then. The internet is now starting to say, the comment section, as I call it, does the MVP, SGA, does he push off on most drives? He kind of does. How's that legal? I don't understand.
Well, I'll tell you something, buddy. When I was coaching in England in the BBL back in the day when Nick Nurse was there over there with me, Chris Finch had a player playing for him in Sheffield. And he and I were coaching against each other in the National Cup final in Sheffield Arena one year. So it's not the league championship, the cup final, the National Cup championship final. National television, great crowd, Sheffield Arena. It was the closest cup final in history at that time. I think there have been some more close ones like this since. But at that time, it became the closest contested cup final in history. We were 1 point up with seconds to play. And two things happened, okay, that remind me of what you're saying and remind me of SGA and the defense of the OKC Thunder. Chris was a great defensive coach too, still is. The Minnesota Timberwolves play excellent defense.
Yeah, you got the shirt on. I see. Yeah, you got that. He's got to represent for your buddy.
Hey, we're talking NBA today, so I brought out the NBA shirt.
I like it.
But so what happened with seconds to go in the game? Okay, we stole the ball. There was a loose ball. I don't know if we stole it. It was a loose ball right in front of my bench on the sideline, right in front of my bench. and one of my guards, Steadroy Baker, dove for the loose ball, right? One of Chris's guards shoved him in the back, right, as he dove and got it. So he had the basketball right in front of the bench, right next to me. You know, in international, you can't call timeout. Timeout has to call through the table. Players can't stop the game with a timeout on the court. So I couldn't stop it at that moment. Steady couldn't stop it at that moment. The Sharks player shoved him, and he went flying out of bounds. Well, what's the official call? Sharks ball. So we had the ball. We had the ball, but they shove us out of bounds. They give it back to us for one more try. They inbound the ball, and their best player at the time was a player from the States, an American player named let me think. Come back to us. I had it a second ago, and I was thinking about Steadroy Baker. Anyway, they give it to their best player, the American guard for them, right? Okay. And he's kind of like SGA.
You're thinking of the name. You're thinking of the name. Here's what's going to happen. 10 minutes from now, we'll be talking about the Magic trade, and it'll come to you.
It's going to pop right in my head, okay?
So what happens, buddy?
So he's like SGA. He likes to get to the elbows, like drive it hard, pull up, step back, jumper, right? But he also likes this. Terrell Myers.
There you go.
See?
There you go. I knew
no gray matter. It's still there. Terrell Myers. And it's an iconic shot. I mean, it was an iconic shot. With time running out, Terrell Myers, their best player, ball in his hands, shot clock winding down, game clock winding down. Terrell Myers drives it. We are all over him. Great defense in his face, right? Nose to nose. What does he do?
Elbow. Yeah.
Forearm in my defender. My defender falls back. Clear offensive foul. No call. Terrell Myers hits the shot. They win by 1 point. At that point, closest cup final in BBL history.
Hey, you're still angry.
I'm still angry.
I know you're still angry. I know.
I wanted to chase the officials out of the arena.
Where's Billy Mims? All right. Game 6 is going to come up Thursday night. Tonight, I believe the Panthers hopefully are going to win the Stanley Cup Finals, right? That'll be fun. Okay.
Hey, I got 2 to watch tonight.
What?
I got a conflict, so I got to have 2 TVs going.
What do you have? So
I got the Panthers and the hockey going to be pulling for the Panthers tonight. On my TV next to it, I'm going to have the Arkansas Razorbacks in the College World Series. They play tonight, and it's an elimination game. They have to beat UCLA tonight to get one more crack later this week at LSU.
All right, I'm confused here. Did the Arkansas pitcher yesterday throw a 19 strikeout no-hitter? Is that what happened?
Are you confused? Let me tell you something. That was the first no-hitter in the College World Series, Men's College World Series, since 1960.
Oh, man.
65 years. You, in your lifetime, have never been treated to a no-hitter in the baseball's College World Series. That kid was a top 30 first-round type draft choice. Boy, yesterday, he skyrocketed to a top 5 now, maybe. He was incredible.
Wasn't it also like 19 strikeouts? Something crazy like that.
The record is 20. He had 19. And, I mean, he could have easily had 20, right? The record in a College World Series, 20. He had 19. But he got one streak where I think he struck out like 9 straight batters. And remember, he was the greatest quote ever. I was watching the end of the game. Post-game, obviously, because my daughter Courtney's there covering it. And so I'm watching the game, knowing she's in Omaha. She's sitting in the press box. And after the game, ESPN's post-game interview comes over to Gage Wood. That's the Arkansas pitcher.
Great name.
Gage Wood, great name. I love it too. And they said, he sounds like a major league player, doesn't he, already?
I think of the Cubs guy, Kerry Wood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's throwing 97, 98. The last pitch of the game that he struck out the final batter on his 19th K, 97 miles an hour. After throwing, I think he threw 117 pitches, and he's still throwing the heat, 97.
Would Rick Carlisle take him out of there in the 7th inning? That's the question.
That's a classic. You know what's funny about that?
What?
They would say early in the game he had a blister on his foot. And I was kind of thinking, there'd be some coaches that pull him on that. No. But Dave Van Horn, DVH, the Arkansas baseball coach, stuck with his ace. Gage Wood was rolling. He stuck with him, and they had a World Series game of a lifetime. He's chalked his name down in history. But here's the best, Mark. His quote after the game. You're going to love it. What? He was one batter away from a perfect game. Not just a World Series. Perfect game. One batter hit by pitch, right? And it grazed the back foot of the batter. I mean, it wasn't bam, you hit him and knocked him out of the batter's box. It was a breaking ball that broke a little too early, dropped down, and hit his back foot in the box. Only base runner of the entire game.
What
so when ESPN come to ask him after the game, how do you feel? You've just made history. You've thrown the first no-hitter in 65 years. And his response was, I shouldn't have hit that guy.
Hey, and they got the metal bats. So it's even harder, to throw a no-hitter. I think they were taking on Murray State.
Yes.
Cinderella story. I know John Morant went there. That's all I could tell you about Murray State.
And John Morant makes more money than the Murray State head baseball coach.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I lived in Omaha, as you know, for two and a half years or so.
Did you go to the College World Series?
Yeah, I think I've told you this story where my company at the time, we had affiliates all over the country. It used to be called Journal Broadcast Group. I don't think it's called that anymore. So we had an affiliate in Tucson who was like, hey, we don't have a budget to send someone. Can one of your local guys fill in as the TV reporter covering Arizona? So I said, fine, I'll volunteer. So I always remember this. It's K-Gun TV. K-Gun. So I'm thinking, it's probably KGUN. Or no, it's K-Gun. They're in Arizona. They don't mess around. So I did a bunch of TV reports for Arizona, and it was Coach, is it Andy Lopez? Who I think has a Florida Gators tie. So he was that coach, and I covered them for a couple games. They won the College World Series. So I was there for the decisive game. I was in the locker room with the team after the game, after they beat South Carolina, who was a mega giant with Ray Tanner, right? Yeah, I know. They're like
Gamecocks.
Dude, that was a machine. So I'll have to look up if any of those guys in Arizona made the major leagues. But there is a photo on one of my old computers I'll have to find for you where they win the championship. And there's a photo with me in the locker room. It's the most random thing ever. Me with the NCAA championship for the Arizona Wildcats after they won in 2012. What? It's a bizarre thing.
You know what? I can promise you, I can bet you all the money you have in the bank. There's one thing you didn't see.
What?
A no-hitter, because it hasn't happened in 65 years.
No, the best pitching I ever saw in person. I want your answer. In 1998, I was in high school, and my buddy Jude and he had 2 tickets to the Cubs game. So we went to Cubs Diamondbacks. We saw Kerry Wood pitch. This was it's about 2 months after he threw the 20 strikeout game. And he went complete game, shutout, 13 strikeouts. And this is right when Sammy Sosa, I think it was like July 1st. Okay, I just want to say this. I can't remember some of my relatives' names, but these random sports facts I can do from 25 years ago. Okay. So Sosa just came off the 20 home run month, which had never been happened before.
Right.
Dude, so Kerry Wood's on the mound. His arm's a ticking time bomb because you know he's going to have the Tommy John surgery. He's pitching out of his mind. So he's striking fools out. I swear Sosa went 5 for 5 with 5 doubles. He was on something. I don't know what it was, but dude, it's like you ever play like 12-inch softball, or as they call it, beer league softball. You know, you get these guys, they're just mashing. That's what Sosa was doing. It was one of the craziest games. And this was the time when my buddy's mom dropped us off at the stadium. We were in the bleachers. It cost $5 to go. It's not like now. It's how I know I'm old. It was that's the best pitching I ever saw in person. How about you?
You can't walk past Wrigley Field for $5 now,
No, you cannot.
They charge you more than that just to walk past and take a photo. What's funny? You mentioned that Sammy Sosa. You know this. I've only been to Wrigley Field once in my life.
Oh.
I saw one game at Wrigley. Was in the afternoon. I took my wife from England. The afternoon that we went to the NBA Finals.
Was it 97 or 98?
I was there for the blowout over the Utah Jazz.
That's right.
Remember? I was a representative. The NBA invited me.
Yeah.
As a representative of England basketball.
So one of the worst. It's funny how you're watching these games on TV this year. They're all exciting, scoring, defense, rebounding. You went to the worst final game ever. I think the Jazz scored 54 points or something.
Yes, you're right. It was like 98-54. I mean, I got to see Michael Jordan play.
You did.
And I got to see Karl Malone and John Stockton play. Really. I didn't see him score very much.
No.
But that afternoon, my one game in Wrigley Field, Sammy Sosa took one over the fans up there, He took it over the street, out of the stadium, over the street.
You know what? I think, I could be wrong. I think this was 98. It might have been, and I'll do research on this. This might have been in June because the NBA Finals are in June.
Yeah.
I think it's when he was hitting the 20 homers in one month.
No. I mean, all I wanted to see was Sosa hit a homer,
And you did.
And I scout tickets, so we were sitting on the third row behind home plate just to the first base side. I mean, incredible seats. I don't know how I got them, but I scalped them. I thought I thought these are fake.
Yeah.
But I bought them outside Wrigley right before the game. Walked in, took the seats, no problem.
You can't do that anymore.
No.
At any professional or collegiate sport, you cannot.
And remember, they were hard tickets, the real thing. I probably have them somewhere still here.
We need to get your wife on.
Hey, but the best pitching, you said the best pitching I ever saw. I was an Atlanta Braves fan growing up, right? So I've seen the best. I've seen Greg Maddux. I've seen Tom Glavine. I've seen John Smoltz. Those are the top three that people can remember from recent Braves successful history, right? But I'm going to tell you the best performance I ever saw goes way back beyond that. Phil Niekro, knuckleballer. The knuckleball. I saw Phil Niekro throw a no-hitter.
Oh, so you know what? That is awesome. Was this at the old stadium?
Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
Yeah.
The old stadium.
Yeah, you're going really old school. All right. Who'd you go?
I was also there in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium as a little boy. My father took me to the game when Henry Aaron hit number 713.
That's awesome.
We were hoping to be there to see him tie Babe Ruth, but he didn't get another at bat after 713. And then that was the last game of the season. So the next year he tied and broke the record, or broke it. It was in Cincinnati. He tied it in Cincinnati, I believe, and broke it in Atlanta, the first home series the next season. But we weren't there. So I didn't get to see 715, but I did see 713.
Who'd you go to see the no-hitter with? Who were you with?
My parents. Because I was a young kid then.
That's awesome. Not many people can say that they saw no-hitter in person.
Yeah.
That is really awesome. All right, let's end with this. Okay. On Father's Day, the Magic decided to ruin everything by oh, you want the day off? Nice try. Here's the big trade we're doing. But I'm happy they did it. I'm happy. I love it.
Hey, wait. You know what could have happened on Father's Day?
What?
But didn't.
A game?
No. The Knicks might have hired a coach.
You know who they should hire? You know who's available they should get? Tom Thibodeau. They should hire him. He should be the coach. This is our Friars roast, by the way.
Hey, you know, it's two. They got two problems right now.
What?
Everybody they're talking to either doesn't want the job
Mm.
or they're not allowed to talk to the Knicks. So they're blocked any way you can get it. You know, they need to just go find some guy that's just desperate to be a coach and hire him.
Yeah, like,
you know,
like Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau, he needs a job.
Hey, Tom's not going back there now. You know why?
Why?
He can make more money not coaching the Knicks.
Yeah, because what is it, like 30 million or something?
$30 million not to coach the team.
Ooh, I like this. What would you do with that money? The first check that comes in. You don't need the money. What are you buying? Ferrari? What are you going with? What's the game plan? What are you doing?
No, you know, man, I'm a truck guy. I don't like the little small cars. I got to go big truck, you know. I want a state-of-the-art F-150 with all the bells and whistles, the platinum version that has everything money can buy. But what I really would do with that money is $30 million. You know, I might be like David Beckham when he got his $25 million and he was smart enough to invest in a team and have payoff down the road like it has for him in Miami. I'm a sports nut, Mark. Forget buying the new truck. I might buy a team, invest in a team, and all of a sudden, you know, that team skyrockets and skyrockets. You know what? I buy that team. I could even make myself the coach of that team.
I like how this sounds. All right. I know people think I'm not being honest when I say this. If they gave me the $30 million check, the first thing I'm doing, I don't care. And I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm not telling a joke. I know you think I'm going to say a joke. I'm not going to. I would pay off everyone in my family. If you have any type of debt or you're trying to pay off your house, anything, we are paying that off. All of it. And then when we get to Thanksgiving, no one can be critical of me. No one. No one. All right. But I literally do. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone I know in the immediate family, and I'll count you as well. You're my brother after a while. Let's just pay it off. The hell with it.
I like it.
We're paying
I like it.
And I'm getting my Ferrari. Okay, forget you and your F-150. Watch we end this broadcast, and then my sales manager comes in. You know, Mark, Ford's on the phone. They said they'd give you a car, but you said, no, I want a Ferrari. Yeah. All right, let's end
we're going to get dual sponsors, Ford and Ferrari. They're going to give you the Ferrari. I'm going to drive the Ford.
Hey, there's that Ferrari at the Muscle Museum here in town.
Did you drive one around one time in a field somewhere locally?
There was
a car show.
All right, no. The Ferrari Club here in Brevard County, they were doing at Club 52 right by there. Club 52 at the Melbourne Ground Park. They had the Ferrari Club where they set it up where they're like, hey, for some money, you could drive it around the parking lot. So that's what they did. So OB, my guy at Club 52, we both did it. And yes, we had to sign 50 forms in case. Dude, I only went about 25 miles an hour because I was so afraid to drive that. So, dude, I have driven sports cars before, but you never driven. It's fine wine where it's like, you know how you drive. By the way, I want to talk about the Desmond Bane trade, but I'll get to that in a second. So I know you're more interested in me and Ferrari supermodels. All that stuff. So, you know, like, okay, you're going to make
was it red? Was it red?
No, you know what's funny? It was yellow. Isn't that weird? It was yellow.
You drive a Ferrari. It's got to be red.
Yeah. So you know how like you make a sharp turn and your instinct is to put your foot over the brake. You know what I mean? You kind of make a turn. You got to the guy who owned the car. He's in the passenger seat, probably praying to a higher power that I don't crash his car. He's like, no, Mark, you don't have to hit the brake. Ease that gas. Dude, the handling on that car was the most amazing thing ever. And I'm like, hey, what happens if the brakes go out? He's like, all right, you got to replace them. How much does that cost? About 20 grand. 20 grand for the. I just want to say, wow, this is a beautiful new car. He's like, new car? This car's 10 years old. See, dude, it was.
But, to replace the brakes on the Ferrari, you could actually get a used Chevy. Cheaper. You could buy the whole car.
Well, don't worry. Carfax emailed me today saying the value of my car is only $2,200. Yeah, that's what you think. Okay, nice try.
It's more valuable to you than that, right?
Yeah, because if I give it to them for $2,200, they'll flip it for 15, like 15,000. That's what they'll do on me. Okay. All right. Desmond Bane. Then we'll go. I'm going to say this. I love it. I think the value. I get it. He makes about $40 million a year. He's only 26. He averages 19 points a game. He's got playoff pedigree. He could play two guard. Remember, the Magic were the worst three-point shooting team in the NBA last year. And I'll give credit to Zach Lowe. He made this comment. The Magic since 2012 have been top, like, what is it? No. What's the term? They've been bottom 10 in the NBA in offense for over a decade. Think of that stat. I love it. I don't care how many picks they gave up. They're putting the chips in. If he can be the 3 scorer and Suggs becomes the 4, let's go. I'm in. How about you, Coach?
Well, I agree because he's young, he's experienced, and he brings firepower, right? I'm a coach that thinks I learned this when I first went to be a pro coach in Europe, right? A veteran coach there by the name of Kevin Cadle that was winning lots of championships in British basketball when I first got there. And he was my rival in London. We were crosstown rivals, like the Cubs and the White Sox. We were both coaching London franchises and crosstown rivals. And we got to be really, really good friends over the years. And I learned one thing from him. The very first time I talked to him, he said, when you're recruiting your team, you can never have enough firepower.
Yes.
You got to he said, you need guys that can defend, but don't bring in a defender who can't score. Don't go that route. He said, find a scorer who can defend. And that's what I think the Magic have to do as well. In today's NBA, and maybe it all changed with the Golden State Warriors and the Splash Bros, Steph Curry, the bomb squad there in the Golden Gate Bridge. But the game today is there's games you see teams scoring 170 points in a regular season game in regulation time. You have to have firepower. And I agree with you. I thought he's a great get because he brings offense to the starting lineup. He's a guy that comes in and can shoot the 3. He can knock down, he can stretch the floor for them and make shots. Then the next thing I think they need to do, because they got some really good young players already in their starting lineup. The next thing for the Orlando Magic is to address that firepower, that 3-point shooting perimeter firepower from the bench. Find a couple of 6th, 7th men that could come off the bench for you and bring additional 3-point firepower. So
I agree.
I like Desmond Bane. I think he is an impact starter for the Magic. Now, for me to like where they're going for next year, find a couple of great shooters that you can bring in and bring off the bench.
It's a great point. I'll just say this. 2 years ago when they took on Cleveland, they had Joe Ingles off the bench. So there was your 3-point shooter, veteran type guy. You lost that. You lost Jalen Suggs due to injuries. You lost him. Now, okay, I liked Cole Anthony. I did. But he did not show up in the playoffs. He didn't. And I think this is good for him. Change of scenery, different offense, different system. Maybe he could flourish with Memphis. I hope he does. So
I was never a Cole Anthony fan. I'll be honest with you.
And that's fine.
And it's like, and I'll tell you why. I thought Magic were starting him. I never saw him as a starter. I thought Cole Anthony was a good NBA backup, not a consistent starter, right? I like the Magic better, even with Suggs at the point guard, because nobody's a typical kind of playmaker anymore, right? Suggs is taller, more athletic. You got to get out of these molds that everybody thinks you got to have a 6'1", 6'2" point guard, Not anymore. Magic Johnson changed that years ago. And today's ball handlers, point guards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's not 6'1", he's not 5'10", right? So, and even look at Tyrese Halliburton. He's a long, athletic point guard, and he's not your typical point guard. So I like the Magic better with a bigger lineup, not a smaller lineup. I liked Cole Anthony as a bench player, like I like TJ McConnell coming off the bench as a playmaker, point guard, energy guy. But I never really liked Cole Anthony. I was always the guy saying the Magic's weakness is the point guard. We got to get a better point guard. And I never thought they had that in Cole Anthony. So I think it's a great move for the Magic.
Okay, so here, if you look at it real quick, they're going to be big next year because, all right, Wendell Carter Jr., 7-footer, and you have Mo Wagner coming back, another 7-footer. And they miss Mo Wagner. He's nasty down low. You need him.
Absolutely.
So you have that, and then Gorga as well, where Pataze, where you might bring him back, another 7-footer. Mm-hmm. So you're big. So Franz and Paolo are both like 6'10". They're giants out there when you stand by them. You've been to practice at the Magic facility. Yeah. They are big. Then Desmond Bane, 6'5", 6'6", as your 2.
Yeah.
Then Suggs might be your shortest guy at 6'4". Then I think the other guy that's going to be key, Anthony Black, who they drafted, he'll be going into year 3, 6'7" off the bench. I'm with you. I don't think they're done. I think they got to get more firepower off the bench. I'm with you on this because I don't like Gary Harris. Some of these other guys, I think that is the final piece. If they do what you're saying, Coach, I think they're all in to make a deep playoff run. I do.
I truly believe that their core nucleus is pretty good right now. Yeah. Their core, they just got to stay healthy. They have the talent to compete and win. They got to stay healthy, and they need some more firepower, and they need to bring that off the bench. They need more bench scoring. You look at the impact the benches have had in this final series. Look at the impact that the Pacers bench has had. Look at the impact that the Thunder's bench has had, right? And as you look at the impact of those benches, you understand it's no longer about just having the 3 best players on the court. Our big 3 is better than your big 3. Because some nights now, to win a game, you need 7 players in double figures, right? So you need firepower from the bench. That depth and firepower gives you the offense to compete, right? And the NBA right now, I don't care what people say about the great defense of the Oklahoma City Thunder, the physicality of them, how strong, how physical, how tough they are. Sooner or later, the NBA will start calling more fouls on that. Why? Because offense sells tickets. They don't want the game crammed up with just a parade to the free throw line, and they don't want the physicality disrupting the beauty of making shots. People go to games to watch superstars score the basketball. Nobody really goes, okay, you might get excited once or twice a game when somebody makes a great steal. You might get excited 4 or 5 times a game with a great block shot, but you get excited 50 to 80 times a game by somebody scoring the basketball. You got to have firepower and score points to win in today's NBA.
While you were saying that, my brain's thinking like Jeff Weltman. I'm like, okay, you also have Jonathan Isaac. You could trade him. You have De Silva. You have Jett Howard. You have all these guys that are just kind of like, but the best part about it, it's over for stupid lottery picks. They're going to be better. So those picks you gave up, they're going to be the 25th pick anyway. So who cares?
Right.
You got to go. And look, I think ownership said, hey, it's year 4 Apollo. It'll be year 5 of Franz Wagner. Mm-hmm. This is it. You got and because you don't, in the history of the team, Shaq left, T-Mac left. You got to make sure you're winning and these guys want to play here. I'm sorry.
Well, and you look at it. OKC has now given the formula. Mm-hmm. Look at the youth that they're winning with.
Oh, yeah.
They're the youngest team in the finals in 25 years? Yeah. Something like that.
They're not going away. They're not going away either.
No. Now, their biggest problem is, are they going to be able to keep all of their superstars?
No.
And the payroll is going to dictate some things to them, and they might have to make some changes. They've been through it before. They had Kevin Durant. They had Russell Westbrook. They had James Harden. They couldn't keep all those guys.
We talked about this before. I think if they win this championship, SGA and Williams are untouchable. That's your Jordan and Pippen for the next 10 years.
I agree. And believe me, I think Chet Holmgren got a superstar future ahead of him. If he can stay healthy, that's the biggest knock. He can get stronger and stay physically healthy where he can play 75 games a year, okay, to 82 games, but not missing multiple games, not missing 10 games, 20 games. He's got to be healthy the whole year, right? But I'll tell you this, it's what's interesting, though. You look at the big name guys that are still out there available. Kevin Durant's looking for a new home. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's listening to offers. You know, there's some big name guys that if they end up going to the right team, the Thunder won't be a match. Because those guys, those kind of guys could elevate the second level right now. Because look, the Thunder aren't blowing out the Indiana Pacers.
No.
Okay? So that there's a lot of parity at the top 8 teams in the NBA right now. Mm-hmm. So just because the Thunder, wow, they're young, they're talented. Look at look how great these young guys are. Yeah. But if you took another young team and you threw the right veteran on that team, they'll bypass the OKC Thunder or any other young team. And that's my belief.
And that's what the Magic are thinking with this type of move. Hey, yeah. I'll end with this, and I appreciate coming on today, Coach Mims. A move that was no one even talks about. Last summer, the Thunder traded Josh Giddey to the Bulls for Alex Caruso. Now, Giddey has a chance. He's 21. He's shown some potential with the Bulls. He could be a player for the Bulls for the next 10 years. He could. But that kind of like Caruso veteran leadership off the bench, second unit defense, I think that helped the Thunder get to the next level.
Absolutely. And that's what we're talking about, the Magic trying to find.
Yeah.
To get an impact guy off the bench like an Alex Caruso, right? That guy has been deadly. It's like having a starter coming off your bench. So you go to your bench, you rest the starter, but you still have 5 starters on the floor because he's capable of starting for most teams in the NBA. I think he's going to be a problem for OKC as well. He's got, a $40 million salary? I mean, Alex Caruso wasn't cheap. So now how do you keep the big 3 and you keep an Alex Caruso as well with his high paycheck? I think he's going to be a problem for them to keep. So I think it might be right now for the Thunder. I hate to say this, but it might be one of those now or never. They better win this NBA championship because the people around them aren't sitting idle watching them saying, oh, wow, the Thunder are going to be champs now for 5. The NBA or pro sports, not like that anymore. Year to year to year, different champion.
Okay.
Different champion.
How about this? If we crown a champion Thursday, you got to come back on with me Friday. Now, if we go to 7, you have to come on Monday for our epic recap. And you know what? I kind of want to have game 7. I kind of do with this.
Let's do both, okay? Let's Friday and Monday.
Fine. We'll sleep when we're dead. His game, what?
It's that's potentially the last 2 NBA games of the year, and you and I love the NBA.
Yeah, and then we'll do draft the next day. So there you go. Coach Mims, thanks for your help. Have a great day. I'll talk to you later. All right, man?
Thanks, Mark.